Hello, good morning and welcome to the weekend edition of the newspaper show on ET Now. I'm Cheryl D'Souza and I'll take you through the top stories that's there in the Economic Times this morning. And let's first up get a hold of all the top headlines that's there in the newspaper for you. And first up is Roshni Nadar, who's taking charge as the HCL Tech chairmanship. Shiv Nadar has told that he will be stepping down from the post of chairman but will continue as the MD. Let's move on. And TDSAT has stayed the Trai order blocking Vodafone Idea's plan. We have farm sector that is set to grow at the fastest pace. Mark Zuckerberg terms US COVID response as disappointing. And you have FMCG demand, which is at pre-COVID levels in the month of June. Those are the top headlines that's there on the Economic Times, but let me get you the top market as well as corporate headlines. And first up, let me start with the market headlines. You have market that's jumped 4-month high as oil and gas stocks surge. 95% of the yes Bank IPO subscribed on the last day. Morgan Stanley prefers mid-cap NBFC stocks over larger peers. You have Forex reserves that's up $3.1 billion, hits record high of $516.36 billion, that is as per RBI. And Bharat Bond ETF 2 subscribed over 3 times on last day. And those are the top headlines on the market front. Let me get you the top headlines that we have on the corporate front. Britannia Q1 profit doubles to 516 crore rupees. You have HDFC Bank told to pay Mashreq 210 crore rupees. ArcelorMittal completes Odisha slurry acquisition. Reliance Industries uses funds from units stake sale into debt MFs. And lastly, PSUs rally on global oil companies' interest in BPCL stake, and that was an ET Now exclusive. All right, and those are the top headlines that we have for you this morning from the Economic Times. But let me get you the top story that's there in the ET this morning, and this is the story that is a TDSAT ruling that has come about, and with a relief for Vodafone Idea, the stock surged about 15% intraday in yesterday's session. So it is TDSAT that stayed Trai order blocking Vodafone Idea's plan. Remember, the telecom company came out with a Red X premium tariff plan, which actually Trai had showed some reservations about. Vodafone Idea had moved TDSAT on that front, and TDSAT ruling coming in favor of Vodafone Idea. But what was the ruling all about? The case background and what did TDSAT have to say? I'm joined by my colleague Abhimanyu to take us through. Abhimanyu.
In a relief for Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel, TDSAT has stayed TRAI's order, which had stopped premium plans by both the telecom companies. TRAI has been asked to give a fair hearing to both the telecom companies before coming out with a detailed and reasoned order in this regard. TDSAT will hear the case next on the 17th of August. Earlier, telecom companies had claimed that they were not given a chance to put forth their stance before TRAI. TRAI, while banning their premium plans, had claimed that such schemes were violative of service norms and had asked them to reply within a week. Also, TRAI had claimed that there were fears of shortchanging existing customers and of an adverse impact on quality of service for users not included in premium plans. However, Vodafone Idea had claimed that premium services will not result in any deficiency in service for any other users.
All right, Abhimanyu, we leave it at there. Thank you for getting us the details of that particular order coming in from the TDSAT. But let's now shift focus onto earnings front. And Britannia came out with the Q1 earnings yesterday during the market hours. The FMCG company sales rose by about 25% at the fastest pace in 8 years. This is on back of the strong demand. But what are the other internals? What are the company's commentaries? I'm joined by my colleague Winnie to take us through the details. Good morning, Winnie. Definitely a great set of numbers coming in from Britannia.
Britannia posted its Q1 FY21 numbers, and it's been a strong set of numbers that Britannia has given. If you go to see, the revenue's grown by around 26.6% and stands at around 3,420 crores. While in terms of profits, the profits have doubled for the company on a year-on-year basis, so that's a very positive sign. And also it's aided by the lower tax rate cuts, which is surely benefiting the company, but overall performance has also been quite good for the company. Now in terms of margins, the margins have improved by around 630 basis points and stand at around 20.9% for the quarter. This margin expansion is mainly led by the cost-cutting measures, which the rationalizations which the company has done, as well as the cut in the ad spends and marketing and media spends, is what is leading to the benefit of the company in the margins term. Overall, in terms of revenue, it's mainly aided by the in-house consumption, which has seen an increase, as well as there's a heightened demand due to pantry stocking, and the company's distribution chain is also quite strong, so that has also benefited the company. Overall, even the management said that there has been an inflationary trend in the raw material price, but that has not impacted the company this time much, and nor do they expect it to see a great increase in these raw material prices. They expect it to be stable, and they expect the company to do well even in these challenging times, and they will face all the tough times together with agility, is what the management is saying.
All right, thank you, Vinny, for taking us through Britannia's number in detail. Now let's shift focus on to page 6 of Economic Times, and this is a story that I'm going to talk about, and it is about Yes Bank FPO. Yesterday was the last day of the subscription for the FPO, and let me take you through how they've actually fared. The 15,000 crore rupees follow-on public offer, that's the FPO by Yes Bank, scraped through in the last day of the issue on Friday with 95% subscription. According to the SEBI norms, companies need minimum of actually 90% of the issued amount on the date of the closure, else they would have to actually go ahead and refund the entire subscription amount that they've received. So SBI Capital Markets would have actually had to underwrite 3,000 crore rupees worth of shares in the FPO at a price equal to the lowest end of the price band in case of the under-subscription. So the issue attracted bids for 11.88 billion shares, or 95% of the shares issued, of a size of 12.51 billion that was on the offer. This is as per the subscription data on the NSE. While the QIB portion was subscribed 1.4 times, the segments meant for high net worth retail investors as well as the retail investors was subscribed just 63 and 43% subsequently, respectively, I beg your pardon. So Yes Bank FPO scraping through on the last day. 95% of the Yes Bank FPO subscribed on the last day. You saw QIB portion that saw a subscription of 1.4 times, but HNI and retail segments saw a lesser amount of subscription. So that is the details of Yes Bank FPO, 95% subscribed. Now let me shift focus on to FMCG sector, and looks like the demand is already back near the pre-COVID levels. So after significant impact during the lockdown, the FMCG industry in India has recovered sharply in the month of June, driven by the expansion in traditional trade channels. This is as per the report by Nielsen. But to talk more on what the report is saying and how is the FMCG sector faring, I'm joined by my colleague Neha Tyagi. Neha, good morning and take it away.
Well, after a significant impact on sales and volumes during the lockdown period, the FMCG industry is finally exhibiting signs of revival. As per Nielsen's latest report, FMCG industry saw a sharp bounce back in terms of sales in the month of June. FMCG sales are now almost back to the pre-COVID levels, and this recovery is primarily being driven by expansion in traditional trade channels, which includes your neighborhood stores or your kirana stores. Moreover, rural consumption has finally surpassed that of urban and is now leading growth for the entire FMCG industry. As far as specific categories are concerned, beauty and personal care categories have seen a sharp growth in the month of June. Cosmetics, deodorants, hair color, skincare have all made a comeback to the customers' shopping list. As far as hygiene categories are concerned, whether personal or household, they continue to see robust demand. In terms of your daily usage categories, which were rationalized during the lockdown, which include your toothpaste, hair oil, shampoos, washing powders, and detergents, these categories have also seen a strong comeback in the month of June. But going forward, consumer continues to be cautious given the uncertainty. Consumers, surveyed by Nielsen said that they will continue to curtail spending on discretionary activities such as dining out, apparel, tobacco, new cars, and travel. Consumers will also prioritize spending towards education, health, home entertainment, and investment. Also, at this point in time, the sales are being driven by traditional channel, but going forward, share of e-commerce channels is expected to go up as consumers are preferring contactless home deliveries rather than, going to stores themselves. Overall, the sense that we're getting is FMCG is back to pre-COVID level growth, and rural has finally surpassed urban when it comes to consumption and growth.
All right, Neha, thank you for getting us through the details of the Nielsen report on the FMCG sector. Looks like some ray of hope coming in for that particular sector. But let me shift focus now on to farm sector, and looks like some good news coming in from that front as well. And this is on the page 7 of Economic Times, and talking about the farm sector, which is poised to grow at a super speed. So let me take you through the details of that story right from the paper for you. India's farm sector is poised to grow at the fastest pace in more than a decade, with a bountiful monsoon and increase in sowing acreages, boosting the output and kindling hopes of a boom in the rural demand. The sector could actually log a nominal growth of almost 13%, compared with a 5-year average of about 9%, and this is as per the estimates by Barclays India. Return of migrant workers from cities to the hinterland and an early onset of monsoons have not only provided them alternative employment options, but also helped boosting the sowing acreages. So there you go. Barclays definitely saying that the farm sector growth is likely to see a bump up. He said that initially good monsoon had triggered early sowing, which in turn increases the chances of 3 cycle of farm sowing instead of traditionally 2. So there you go. Farm sector, according to Barclays, is all set to grow at a super speed and at least more than a decade, at the fastest pace in more than a decade coming in for the farm sector. So some good news coming in on that particular front. Now let me shift focus to some corporate headline, and HCL Tech came out with their Q1 earnings yesterday. Along with that, they came out with a management change as well. You have Roshni Nadar, who is all set to become the chairperson of the board of directors at HCL Techs. She replaces Shiv Nadar from the role. The move comes in effect, is already in effect. So Chandra is joining us to take us through all the details. Chandra, it's a dawn of new era at HCL Tech, and how significant is this move?
Roshni Nadar's appointment as the chairperson of HCL Tech is significant not just for the company but also for India Inc. Because if you look at the list of Nifty 50 companies, the 50 top Nifty companies, she's only the second woman chairperson of a large company. The other person being Shamla Gopinath, who is the chairperson of HDFC Bank. So from that perspective, this is certainly significant. And if you narrow it down further and look at the IT sector alone, the Indian IT sector alone, Roshni Nadar will perhaps be the only woman chairperson among the top IT companies. Now, apart from that, the other interesting facet, of course, is Roshni Nadar is also the wealthiest woman in the country. This is according to data released last year by IIFL Wealth and Huron. They estimated her wealth at over 30,000 crore rupees. So she's also the wealthiest person who will now take charge as chairperson. Now, she's no stranger to HCL or HCL Tech. She was inducted on the board of HCL Corp in 2009, the holding company. She was then inducted as a board member on HCL Tech in 2013, and in 2020 she takes charge as chairperson. She's a graduate from Kellogg's, and she's been closely involved in the philanthropy and education initiatives through the Shiv Nadar Foundation as well as the Vidya Gyan Leadership Academy. She's also very passionate about causes related to wildlife and conservation. So those are some of the interesting facets about Roshni Nadar Malhotra, the newly appointed chairperson of HCL Tech.
All right, Chandra, we leave it at there. Thank you for giving us details of the management change at HCL Tech and what does it mean. Let me shift focus now to page 1 of Economic Times and some big quotes coming in from Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg is saying that the US COVID response is disappointing. So the Facebook chief executive officer, Mark Zuckerberg, said on Thursday that he was disappointed with the US government's response to the coronavirus, in particular in the undermining of the advice from scientists about the public health safety measures like mask wearing and the failure of mass testing of COVID-19 to get the disease under control. So this is what Mark Zuckerberg said, and I quote, "It's really disappointing that we do not have adequate testing and that the credibility of the top scientists and CDC are being questioned." This is what Zuckerberg said in an interview with Anthony Fauci, who is actually the country's top infectious disease expert. And Fauci actually went on to say that I strongly agree that we need to reset something. This is actually what Zuckerberg had to say. On the other hand, Anthony Fauci also said that we've all got to regroup and call a time out. So there you go. Mark Zuckerberg definitely not happy with the way how the United States has responded to COVID-19. He's expressed the concern about it, saying that we undermined the advice from scientists on the public health safety measures like mask wearing and failure of also mass testing to control the disease. Remember, Zuckerberg is actually holding a series of interviews with scientists as a part of effort to provide verifiable information to the Facebook users. Now let me stay with COVID-19, and this time around I will talk about the COVID-19 vaccine. Remember, the nations are also in race to sign a deal with these research companies for the manufacture and the production of the particular vaccine, in case if they actually tick all the check boxes and they come through. So EU is in talk with Moderna as well as BioNTech, CureVac to secure COVID-19 vaccines. The bloc actually wants to buy about 300 million doses of Sanofi GSK's possible vaccine and 200 million doses of Johnson & Johnson's shot. So the European Union is negotiating advanced purchase deals for potential COVID-19 vaccines with drug makers such as Moderna, Sanofi, Johnson & Johnson's biotech firms such as BioNTech and CureVac. This is as per two EU sources that told the newswire agencies Reuters. That is what Economic Times is quoting this particular report to. The talks follow a deal reached in June by 4 EU states with AstraZeneca for the upfront purchase of 400 million doses of its potential COVID-19 vaccine, in principle available to all 27 EU nations. So now the EU is in talk with Moderna, with BioNTech, and as well as CureVac to actually reach a potential vaccine deal in case these companies manage to actually clear all the clinical trials and then go ahead and launch the vaccines. So there you go. That's the news on the COVID-19 front. Let me now shift focus and let me get you the top headlines that's there on the Times of India this morning for you. And first up, let me talk about the new COVID hotspots in India. Bengaluru, Hyderabad as well as Pune are emerging as the new COVID hotspots. This is the top headline coming in from the Times of India for you this morning. Shifting focus at UN, Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for reform multilateralism. Moving on, Pakistan is ready to give private access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. As per UN report, India got 273 million out of poverty in the last 10 years. And spouses and kids of H-1B as well as L-1 visa exempted from travel ban.